Arizona, homeowner's best friend.
You compost in the garden?
Yeah.
Like, do you separate from where the plants are growing, or you just kind of spread it around the plant base and it just...
Yes and yes. You can allow small amounts to just compost right on top and let it, you maybe dig it in just a little bit. But you can also create a special compost area in your garden by digging a hole and putting a pipe in there and a little lid, and you can throw your scraps in that spot. And if you have some worms, the worms will come in there. They'll do what they need to do and then move out when they need to go elsewhere. This is, there's different ways you can do that. You can do this with a little circular pipe. If you've got a bigger garden, I've seen it over at the Arizona Worm Farm where they've got this nice big square in the middle of the garden where they just throw the stuff in. Of course, they've got a lot more vegetable scraps than a lot of people do. But, there's so many different ways. If you don't limit your imagination, I love that because that's one of the principles of permaculture is to allow yourself to be imaginative and intensive with your imagination there, then you can find neat ways to do things.
Yeah. Well, and it can be as simple, you don't even need to put a pipe in the ground. What I did when I moved to my new garden here in North Carolina, I just went out to the garden, I dug a hole 12 inches down, poured the compost in, and I covered it back up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now
so it can be that simple.
Yeah, I will be honest. I am almost a lazy gardener as Greg on some ways. In some ways, I'm even more of a lazy gardener, but I had my fruit trees and I just had a space underneath a couple of them that for that month, that's where I threw all my scraps.
Just underneath the canopy of the...
Just underneath the canopy because that's where the way my yard worked because I had all the wood chips everywhere. But I just picked a space, allowed that to be my compost space for that month or two.
And you just said one of the principles. We talked about ethics before, but this concept has ethics. It has principles.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was the wondrous thing that they came up with, Holmgren and Mollison. The principles. There's 12 of them. Loosely, they stay the same depending on where you go. But basically, the very first one is observation, and we talked about that. There's every element must have many functions, and that's basically by not having one item have a single purpose, because then you're wasting it. You can use one item for multiple purposes, then you're getting more out of your items.
Rosie on the house, every Arizona homeowner's best friend.